Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cultivating Confidence Podcast in the car. This is my friend Gia, and today we are going to be talking about how we felt like outcasts in our past, in high school, middle school, all that good stuff, because I know a lot of you can resonate with this.
Totally.
Yeah.
I was always an outcast, a weirdo.
Yeah.
I always had insecurities about my social standing amongst the pecking order in school.
Yeah, no, because we both went to tech high schools, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, going to a tech high school, the way that I describe it is like, you basically, and hopefully none of y'all get offended by this, but you basically took all the outcasts of your hometown and placed us into a pool of people.
Yeah.
And it felt like we were all the outcasts, but then there became a popular group
amongst the outcasts.
And then you felt even more outcasted.
Yes, I'm the outcast of the outcasts. And it's going really well for me.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Also, question for you, just before we even, dive deeper into this. How did you end up going to tech school? When everybody else was going to their town high or your town high school, what made you go that route?
That's such a good question, because I actually almost did not go to a tech high school. But when I was in middle school, I had probably two friends. I was not very cool back then, even in middle school. And I decided that at first I was like, no, I don't want to go to a tech high school. I want to stay with everyone who I know. I don't want to step out of my comfort zone. And then I realized none of these people even like me, or at least that's how it felt. I didn't really have many friends. I thought, why not just start fresh? But I also had two family friends going to this tech high school that I was like, you know what? There's my comfort zone. I'm going to latch onto them. And so honestly, that's the reason I went. However, I also went because the shop that I went into was multimedia communications. And I loved it. I was always a creative growing up. I was writing plays, writing chapter books, drawing, literally everything creative, you name it. And videography, I was like, this is my place. I'm going to do this. And I ended up getting into that shop and it all went well. And yeah, that's kind of the reason why I decided to go. What about you? Because you went to a very specific tech high school.
Yeah, I went to Norfolk Aggie, which is in Walpole, for those of you that are in Massachusetts. And they have agricultural science, so plant science. And then they have mechanics, so car mechanics and welding, stuff like that. And then they have an animal science division. I am still a crazy horse girl. I always have been a crazy horse girl. I didn't really have friends throughout middle school, so to speak of. My friends were the people I went to the barn with, I rode with, I went to horse shows with and whatnot. And it's funny that you said that you kind of clung to, you said it was your cousin that had gone?
My two family friends.
Your two family friends, basically.
Yeah.
Real. I had two friends who were a little bit older than me that I kind of looked up to, who rode at the same barn as me, that went to the Aggie.
Mm-hmm.
So I always just was like, oh, they went there. So when I go to high school, that's where I want to go. And yeah, no, I very much so felt the same as you did in middle school, where I did not fit in. As a matter of fact, I actually tried out for the soccer team in 7th grade, maybe 8th grade. And I had never done a sport before ever.
Yeah.
Besides horseback riding and dance. And I tried out. Tryouts were on the weekend. I remember they threw us into a scrimmage type situation and they made me play goalie. They just kind of assigned, positions, and then they would rotate. And I went in for goalie during tryouts. I had no idea what I was doing. I'm terrified of the ball hitting my face.
Yeah.
Didn't make the team, obviously. And then I went to school the next week. Monday morning, all the 8th graders and the 7th graders are walking through the hall to their next class. And this kid in my grade, in front of literally my entire school, it felt like, in the hallway, was like, hey, Gia, I heard you tried to try out for the soccer team. Because I wasn't good. I'd never done it before. But hey, at least I tried.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just remember wanting to fall into the floor and just disappear forever. Because I was not a cool kid by any means.
It just made you feel more like the identity of like, oh, I'm not cool, or whatever it might be. It just enhanced that feeling. You
Totally. Yes.
I know. No, that's how I was too. Like where do I even start? I was not cool in middle school. I feel like even my identity, like the way that we both have curly hair, I didn't know how to style my hair.
Oh God, I'm still learning.
Yeah, me too.
I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah, and like I would put my hair up in a ponytail because I didn't know how to wear it down. But then I'd have like these frizzies coming off like the crown of my head, and I looked like a clown. And I remember looking in the mirror and being like, "Oh God, I'm ugly. Like, look at the frizz on top of my head." And this was also a limiting belief for me that, guys are not going to like me because I'm not pretty. I've talked about this in like past reels on Instagram. Is like I was bullied when I was younger. Some girl in my Girl Scouts was like, "Oh Maggie, you're really funny, but you're not that pretty." And I'm like, "Girl, you do not say that to people."
Mean.
That's what I'm saying.
Terrible.
Kids are so mean. But I think that definitely happened prior to looking in the mirror and feeling like that just was a confirmation bias of, oh, your hair's not pretty, you're not pretty, guys are not going to like you, people in general are not going to like you. And I held on to that idea of, in order to be liked by others, my appearance had to be in congruence with, what they thought about me.
Which is what society tells you that's the hardest part about growing up in society. I think any society, it doesn't matter how old you are and when you grew up, but society, especially in school, tells you to be a certain way, to act a certain way, to dress a certain way, to wear certain brands. And I mean, like, do you remember when like Uggs came out and like, God forbid your mom got you a pair of Bear Paws and you wore them to school?
Yeah.
Or like everybody had Vera Bradley matching like lunchboxes and flip-flops and beach towels.
Yeah.
And like, I would never bring a lunchbox with just any other, because it's not Vera Bradley. I would never bring it to school.
Yeah.
And it's so hard because like, those are such formative years of our life. And then you step out into the real world and you still don't really know like who you are. And you spend so much time trying to fit into this like world that's such a small part of like real life. Like school feels like your whole life when you're in it. And then you're out and you're like, wow, that was like a blip of my whole life.
It didn't even matter.
It didn't even matter.
Popularity does not exist.
No.
We think it exists. That's why if I can tell any high schooler, if anyone's listening and you're in high school, like high school does not matter as much as you think it does, like not society-wise, like social-wise. Because a lot of the times, the people who were considered popular, they put on a pedestal.
They peak in high school.
Yeah.
They peak in high school every time. I'm sorry.
Do.
I love you, but they peak in high school every time.
And the people who are outcasts end up doing things for themselves and actually stepping out of their comfort zone.
The black sheep of the school.
Yup. And
community.
It's like now we're doing so many things, and I'm sure you felt this way too, especially for us, like being on social media, showing up online. I had a huge limiting belief that I was so afraid to be seen because in my mind, it's like, no, I'm a loser. Like, I can't show up online. I don't look good. People are not going to want to hear what I have to say. Take those away. Those are just the little people from your past telling you, or making, not even telling you necessarily, just making you feel a certain way that you shouldn't be heard. And then you start showing up that way online, and that's a challenge of its own to get around.
Oh, totally. Because you're kind of trying to like shatter the persona that you've put on yourself while you're trying to figure out who you are in a way that fits in with other people. Like, I can remember in middle school, I mean, I literally, like, I should find pictures and send them to you. You would laugh. I had, like, the knee-high Converse with, like, I had, like, a pair of purple and hot pink acid wash jeans that I legit think I rotated every other day. Like, those were my pants.
Yeah.
With a black and pink studded, like, remember the studded belts from, like, Hot Topic?
Yeah.
And then I saw this girl who was, like, you know, at the time I would have considered her, like, a popular girl at school. She was an athlete. She played soccer, I think, and she had a Under Armour, you know, like the base layers that you might wear underneath, like, your uniform if you played. Yeah, something like that, but, like, you know, with the Under Armour brand on the neck. Very much so, like, an athletic, like, 9 times out of 10, you're probably wearing this specific type of shirt to play a sport.
Mm-hmm.
She had it on because she played a sport. And I looked at her and I was like, oh, she's like one of the popular kids in school and she has an Under Armour long sleeve on. So I made my mom take me to Dick's Sporting Goods to get me a long sleeve Under Armour. And I wore it with my studded belt and my acid wash jeans with my knee-high Converse. Like, literally none of this went together. But I'm trying so hard to, like, fit in and look the part. So much so that I'm, like, veering so far away from who I even am.
Yeah.
Like, because, like, girl, what was going on there? Like,
Yeah.
why did I think I needed an Under Armour shirt to fit in?
Because that was deemed as cool in your mind.
Yeah.
You didn't feel cool. You wanted to get up to their level.
Yeah.
The Under Armour shirt is what's going to...
And I made myself less cooler.
Yep. By not being yourself. Yeah. Oh my gosh. You speak of like the way that we dressed. I have this image of me wearing this like hot pink and gray striped shirt. It came to my arms and it was like the flock, like the wing.
Yes.
And then
that was the thing.
And I had this teal tank top underneath that I stretched down to my hips.
You pull it over your butt.
Yep. And you know, forgot about it.
I've never really seen it. I knew.
And then I had hot pink jeggings.
Yes.
And then running sneakers.
Yeah.
Like light blue running sneakers and like the high white socks or whatever with my hair up. And I thought I was the baddest bitch. And no, I'm just kidding. I don't even know what I remember thinking. I don't even know what I remember thinking about that. But I had been bullied for the way that I dressed. Like, even I actually surprisingly was not bullied for that. And I am all about like accepting past parts, so I'm not meaning to really like get down on myself. But at the same time, you have to acknowledge that past version of yourself. She didn't know any better.
She was trying.
She was trying, and that's all that matters. And I bet there's a part of her that if I did like that, I honestly don't remember. I probably blacked out.
A lot of suppressed memories.
Yeah, but I bet she loved it, and that's fine. But I remember there was a time where I wore these like orange sweat shorts, which, let me tell you, Addison Rae wore the same similar orange sweat shorts and went viral for it. But when I wear it, I'm being called, oh, you dress like Dora.
Oh, God. And then if Kim Kardashian wore them, then they'd be being sold by scams and every single influencer that you... It's so...
Nothing is cool.
Nothing is cool.
We decide what is cool and what's not.
Or we let other people decide for us.
Yes. And that's why they say things like, I was reading, I think it was like the 4 agreements. It's like, who agreed that if you have braces, you're ugly or you're a loser? It's normal. We all go through it. Just because you look a certain way or you're wearing braces or glasses, why does that have to have an identity behind it if you're a loser, you're not cool? Girl, I'm going to have the best teeth around. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah. Luckily, I never had braces, so I didn't have to go through, not the appearance-wise, but like the pain of them even. Like, it's... Did you have braces?
I had bottom braces.
Stressful, right?
Fair.
I'm going to deal with it. Yeah. So,
but then I missed them.
Really?
When they got taken off, I was kind of sad. I was surprised at that. I remember being like, why do I miss them? Like, I hated them for the however many years I had them.
Yeah, interesting.
Do you feel at this point in your personal and professional journey that you are cool at this stage in the game?
Let me actually tell you something that's been going through my mind recently, because I feel like I'm still just starting out with social media. Like, I mean, I've been doing it for a year now, and I'm starting to grow, and it's amazing, and I'm grateful for it. But there's a part of me that my past self, my inner child, who doesn't feel cool, she doesn't feel important, that is honestly having a really tough time with recognizing where I'm at now.
Mm.
And I think that,
like, giving yourself the credit.
Like, I think that her beliefs are not aligning with this new identity that I'm taking on, because I think it kind of just fell into my lap really quick, like this platform. And I think that she's kind of like, no, but we're uncool. Like, we can't be seen. How do we show up this way? Or almost like, and this is not to sound egotistical, but there's almost a part of me that's like, am I going to be noticed at some point? Because now I'm getting big. And how does she feel about that? She's like, oh my gosh, like, let's get famous. And I'm like, girl, slow down. First of all, I don't want to be famous. I see how people live their lives like that, and it's not something that really necessarily interests me. I want to have an impact on people. Mm-hmm. And that's all that matters to me. And I think she's caught up in this whole like identity that like, oh, we were never cool before. Now she's perceiving this as like, oh, we're cool now. And she's running with it. And it's like, I need to tell her, slow down. It's okay. Like, let's accept this. Let's integrate this and not feel like because it's something we never had before that it's so, whoa, so crazy.
Yeah. I like that. That's a very interesting like perspective because obviously that inner child, even if it was a middle school child, it's still a child. You're still like a fetus.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, like that sticks with you. All that stuff sticks with you. And until you give it the time and the light to like recognize it, process it, accept it, and realize how like past experiences still affect you today, like it's a very important conversation to have with yourself that a lot of people, I think, I don't even know if I have that conversation with myself.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, how do you feel about everything with that? Like, do you feel cool to this day?
I feel like the answer to that question would depend on the moment / day that you might ask me. I feel like I definitely sometimes find myself or feel myself getting caught up in like caring
Too much
about that. But I feel like as a general rule, for the most part, I don't
That's good.
care about that. Like, I definitely used to care about it a lot because I never felt cool. So it was like a thing for me. I was like, you know, like I would put my best foot forward in an effort to hopefully come across
Like how you want to see.
right. But like
Yeah.
realizing over time and like just like general life experience that I am cooler the less that I care.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I think that's something that I've gone, like my whole motto has been, like I'm someone who I used to care a lot. And there are still, of course, we all have these moments. Like just because I'm a confidence coach doesn't mean I have moments where I don't feel confident. Like, of course I do. I've luckily been able to go through these experiences and gain the resources and the tools needed to, and the mindset help to get me out of it. But I think that, I just lost my train of thought. It was, to this day, I've worked on myself so much and I've understood like what are my values, like who am I? And it's not even like trying to figure out who I am. It's accepting who I am right now and not putting so much pressure around like I need to grow, I need to do this, I need to do that. It's like who I am right now, I am perfect just as I am. There's of course always room to grow, but there's no rejecting who I am right now. And I'm very content with, you know, I know how I make people feel. I know how I show up in the world. I know I put full efforts into things. I'm proud of all the experiences that I've gone through. I don't regret any of the experiences that I've gone through because they've all taught me something. And it's brought me to, everything I've been through has brought me to this version of who I am today. And I was telling you earlier, I was on my ride here, not to the car. I was on my ride to the coffee shop where you sat. And I was thinking like, I'm so proud of myself. Like I've come a long way, not just professionally, but like mentally, what goes on in my head and not feeling good enough, and really been able to like reshape my mindset and grow that. And I feel cool. Now I can say I confidently feel cool, but not in society's way of what cool means.
Which is not even a thing.
No, because cool doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Cool is how you feel about yourself, the beliefs that you have about yourself. And I've created very strong beliefs about myself and who I am as a person that society's definition of cool does not affect me anymore. And I've been able to some
point. I love that. I also love how you like said, because one of my favorite quotes is like that you go through what you go through.
Mm-hmm.
It's so true. Like I would not be who I am if it weren't for even those cringy moments that when I think back, I feel bad for that like little version of me that I'm like, yeah, you had to endure that. But how beautiful and resilient you become because of it.
Yes.
And also accepting that fact that you grow through what you go through, and it allows you to actually enjoy the journey of becoming whatever and whoever you're meant to be.
Exactly. No, I love it so much. And just accepting, like even talking to your inner child and being like, girl, you got me through some tough times. And maybe you feel a little scarred from what you went through. traumatized by what you went through, but like now I'm here now to give you the love that you didn't feel back then, or give you the validation that you felt that you didn't feel back then. Yeah.
I just got like chills.
And that's what I love. Like inner child work is seriously one of my main pillars with what I do with my confidence coaching, because it's so powerful when you can tap into this version of yourself that you forgot about. You don't even realize she exists anymore.
Yeah.
If you go throughout the world and you're feeling insecure, it's not you that's feeling insecure. It's a past version of yourself that felt that, and she holds that trauma in the body. And you can convince yourself consciously as much as you want, like, oh no, I'm not insecure anymore, I'm not, whatever. But your body feels it. It holds on to those feelings, and until you actually make that change from internally,
they're not going anywhere.
It's going to continue showing you time and time again that confirmation bias of why you're insecure.
Do you have a good like journal prompt, or can you come up with one on the spot that is good for kind of tapping into that, like for somebody that's never done any sort of like inner child work, shadow work, anything like that? Like what would be a good prompt to start with that?
Well, first of all, this is not mine, but Mirror Work by Louise Hay, amazing book. It really taps into like talking to your inner child, and I could not recommend that book more, because that is like what got me into inner child work, along with working with my therapist. She really helped me with that as well. But I would say if you're just doing it in your journal on your own, just kind of writing, okay, what does my inner child need? How does she need to feel love? Why is she sad right now? What is going on? Like really talking to her, giving her a name. Like when you personalize it, that's not the word. You almost create a person within yourself. Like mine is Peasy. Like that's my inner child's name. And then like, what's going on right now for her? Like really tapping into her and being like, what does she need right now? How can I be there to support her? It's almost like when you think, when you go through a breakup, or not even that, like you want someone, you're looking for someone to love you, you're looking for someone to give yourself validation. Your inner child wants love and validation, and that's why she's seeking it outside of herself. So in your journal, like how can I give myself what I'm looking for? First, you need the clarity of what am I looking for?
Right. So it's like a 2-part.
I love that. If you want attention, because as girls, of course, we all say all the time, even when I was in high school, I just want attention. Like that's what I'd always say. And it's a very real thing for not only women, like a lot of people. And how can you give yourself attention? Can you give yourself presence? Can you meditate and be with yourself? Like it seems a little like, is that the same thing? It is. Because when you can give yourself what you're looking for, what your inner child's looking for, that's when you can really start to feel the benefits of, I don't need an outside source to do this. I am the powerhouse. Like I give it to myself on my own. And that's when I can start to show up with more love. And my inner child starts to feel that love. And so I start to feel that love. And that's how I walk in the world. That's how I move in the world.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I'm going to be journaling tonight.
Yeah, I know.
It's so really enough. I really need to journal more.
So powerful, and tapping into like the subconscious and like just being with yourself. Seriously.
Yeah, most people don't have that ability to just be with themselves. But we're doing it. We're learning. Day by day. We're learning.
We are. This was, oh my gosh, amazing conversation. I wanted to thank you for being the first guest of my podcast.
Oh, thanks for inviting me to the car.
Yeah, of course. I know, to the car. Do more like this. Like when we do podcasts, we should actually just go.
This is like cozy for me. Yeah, we were talking about how we love just like sitting in the car and hanging out with a friend. It like brings us back to like high school.
Yeah, like girl talks. Girl talks in the car.
Like, yeah. Get to get out of the house and just sit in the car.
Yeah.
I would sit in the car for like hours in the driveway.
Just so fun. Chilling. Oh, wait, next time we should put some music in the background. You give a little vibe to it.
A little vibe going.
But no, this was great. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you guys so much for listening. And I will see you on the next one. Bye.